Hey guys, Edre here. My window's open, so there might be some noise. But today I'm doing a review, which was an unexpected review because I was not really aware of this band too much before going into this album. I am reviewing The Chat's debut album, High Risk Behavior. And I figured this would be a punk album, but I didn't think it was going to be as punk as it is. And I love that about this album. Um, I've been doing these. I've been doing a few. I've only done a few punk reviews, mainly just because there's not been a lot of bigger punk artists emerging out of the scene, and the ones that are older that I review, most of them aren't even really doing punk music anymore. But I will say that this is probably the most pure punk album that I've heard in, like, I guess the bigger punk scene in a long time. I mean, obviously you always have local bands, but out of bands that are making an impact overseas and everything, this band is doing pretty good. The sound of this album is very much down the same like vein as a lot of the classic punk albums over from the UK in the 70s, and a lot of that lies in the guitar tone and the vocals. Obviously, this band is Australian, so it's not like they are British, but vocally, his singing style, his sometimes nasally singing style, does kind of fit that kind of classic UK punk sound. And the guitar tone, the type of distortion used, type of overdrive, is definitely very similar to that as well. And I think it's really fun, and it makes this album a fun listen. It makes me want to keep on coming back to it. It was just fun. And I do like the production on here. I think that this style of production is perfect for punk music, and I wish a lot of other punk bands realized that, as well as older punk bands who are trying to polish up their sound. This album, High Risk Behavior, is how you produce a good punk album, in my opinion. And this album may not be the most original, this may not have the most variety, but what do you expect from a punk album in 2020? Therefore, yeah, that does maybe take this album down a little bit, but it's like, what do I really expect? I'm not expecting anything groundbreaking, per se. I'm just expecting a good, fun punk album. And this album does feel very Australian, very, just not like the stuff that you hear in America, which is fun and also makes it more unique. And lastly, my last little statement before I go into the track list is the lyrics on this album are very fun, they're very unique, they're very satirical, and they're not that stereotypical of punk music. You know, I hear so many different punk artists put out lyrics that sound like every other punk band out there, and that's just not fun after a while. But this one's unique. The album starts off with Stinker, which is a banger. It's fun, but then the album really kicks in when it gets to the song with the clap. The clap, in my opinion, is the best song on this album. Not only do I find it funny, I think the instrumentation is great. I love the vocals. I just love the whole premise of a dude getting the clap and writing a song about it. It's just fun. And also, I love how there's like actual claps in the song. It definitely makes the song even more funny, more satirical. That's followed by Identity Theft, which is another one which is fun, which has actually pretty modern lyrics in reality, talking about having a VPN, which is something that you would not have heard back in the 70s, which also makes this album a little more unique and makes it sound a little more like a punk album in 2020, not just like a Greta Van Fleet ripping off their influences. A few other songs that really did stick out to me were Pub Feed, thought that one was fun, Heatstroke with the bass and drum intro, and 4573 with the intro and a little solo throughout it. I think that most of these songs are pretty consistent. It's hard to pick a least favorite. But I'm really glad that there's still artists out there that are making an impact. Like, they aren't mainstream, but they're getting a bigger impact than, say, some of your favorite local bands. And they have a very classic punk sound, but they freshen it up with better lyrics, with modern lyrics, and good production, and a unique sound. And I think that this album is one of the most unique punk albums I've heard in a while, because unfortunately, a lot of punk bands, they just rehash the same things. And, well, obviously this album does use a lot of the 70s punk sounds and styles and goofiness. So on that side, yeah, it's not that original. But the approach at it, the production, everything about this album, in my opinion, comes together very nicely. I think that I'm really excited to see what the group does down the line, because if they keep this up, they may be spearheading the punk scene into the new decade. So I settled on giving this a strong 8. A strong 8 to me is pretty good. I mean, I rank everything from a 0 to 10 scale, with a 5 being average. Anything above a 5 is good, so an 8 is pretty high up there. So, yep, High Risk Behavior by the Chats, strong 8. I recommend everybody check this album out, and I hope this band continues to spearhead the punk international scene.